Skirt, skirt. Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leave on that levy, no sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm cool. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. Got slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboy Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to today's stream. We've got some Week 12 NFL action coming at you. Less games today than usual because of all of the Thanksgiving games. I believe that there's actually only 11 games going on today. It's usually more like 13 or 14. But Ben, you looking forward to today?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the games are 3 or 4 times better than the Thanksgiving Day games, because those were pretty.
Yeah, I will happily take quality over quantity on this one. That's where I'm at. As exciting as that Lions-Bears game was, and as riveting as the Bills-Saints game was, I think that we're in tune for some better games today.
Absolutely. There's some pretty good divisional matchups today. I think between the Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos, Chargers, and then maybe even the Eagles and Giants. I think that's going to be a closer game than a lot of people think. But
yeah,
later in the season, divisional games, they mean more. These teams know each other. They know, their girlfriends. That's kind of a joke, but probably not a joke. The players know each other. It's physical. It's fun football.
Yeah, and I think that the quality of the game that we should be expecting to see today is reflected in these spreads. So just look at how low all of these numbers are. I mean, in weeks past, we've been seeing a couple of games every week with double-digit spreads. Biggest spread that we have all day is New England minus 7.5. And aside from that, there's 1-4, a couple 3.5s, but it's all going to be close games.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's the expectation, and that should create for higher quality football viewing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with some of those spreads, and the reason why they're a little lower is, we are seeing quarterbacks kind of coming around. David Mills is out. So, yeah, I think this is going to be one of those weeks where any team today has a pretty good chance of winning outright.
Yeah.
You couldn't say that about a few weeks earlier in the season.
I could not agree more. And it's all thanks to Davis Mills being out. Tyrod Taylor's back. All is right with the football world. So I'm going to run through the chat, say hello to everyone. PS Vipers, what's up? T-Vald says, let's go. Off to a fantastic week. Want to keep it rolling? Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get the ball rolling. Locage, let me know how to say that. First time chat. Books emote. Time to learn. Time to study up. Also later on said, what was the song? Ben, what is that song from the intro?
That is my buddy. He goes by Levi Todd, and Zone is the name of the song. We should drop the Spotify in there, so like a
I'll make an intro command for next time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget. Loco J2, gotcha. PS Vipers also said this song goes hard. Yeah, it does go hard.
Yeah, it does. I have some picks that are going to go hard today.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good, Nick.
I'm feeling good too. I'm feeling confident today.
Yeah, I think we'll throw in a few props too that I think, for you being on the stream here, guys, we'll give out a little love here. But I have a few props that just, I would say, a little bit of low-hanging fruit, so to speak. And there's a lot of value on the board here. It's one of those weeks where on the surface it looks tough, but I think when you look deeper, there's a lot of good things to come about today. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. What's up, Big Germ? Says, love the slate today. Yeah, I seen you. We've been talking in the Discord. Be sure to check that out. If you're not in there already, by the way, everyone. There's a link for that right there. A lot of smart people in there talking about NFL, college basketball, college football, whatever it is. What's up, T Cherry? Says, good morning. Sneakily downloading NFL Sunday Ticket on my mother-in-law's TV. Nice, got to get the whole fam in on that action.
Yeah, and then there's like, where did this charge come from?
What's up, Austin? Glad to see you in here. Biggest play of the day is Bucks -2.5. Yeah, we'll talk about the Bucks game. Yeah, coming up soon. And what's up, Larry? Hope all is well with you and with everyone else. So let's...
Larry, what are you thankful for? Let us know in the chat. But yeah, let's get it started.
I was going to ask, where are Larry's kids? Are they in the closet? That's an ongoing joke for anybody who doesn't know. I don't think his kids are. I hope his kids aren't actually locked in the closet. But you never know. So Ben, let's hop into this first game. We got Tennessee and New England. And this is the biggest spread of the day. New England is favored by 7.5 points against a pretty beat-up Titans team. Over-under in this game set at 43. So for the Titans, obviously, Derrick Henry is out with an injury. Julio Jones is on IR. A.J. Brown is out in this game as well. So big question is, how are the Titans going to manufacture any sort of offense? Oh, and also, PS Vipers, thank you for the 8-bit cheer. Appreciate that very much.
Nick, that's a really good question because 99.99% of people probably can't name the 3 starters today at wide receiver for the Titans. They're of course without AJ Brown. I guess Julio, and then of course now without AJ Brown, he's out. So 2 top pass catchers are out of the game, and then of course Derrick Henry was lost a few weeks ago. So they are going to be with Westbrook. Is it? I always pronounce it wrong.
I think it's Nicholas Westbrook Ikine,
and then Chester Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
So, these guys aren't bad. I'm not saying they're scrubs, but
I mean, they're not Julio Jones and A.J. Brown.
Yeah, and I think that Julio Jones being out and A.J. Brown, I think if one of those guys are in, you can get away with things. And I think the big thing here, when I think about wide receivers and cluster injuries, it's the 3rd down, 4th down, 2-point conversion type plays, and not having one of those 2 guys in the game affects that drastically. And that's the biggest thing with having cluster injuries on offense, and then especially wide receivers, right? I mean, of course you have Fisker, but I don't know, he's not a tight end like a Pitts, or we could name a few other guys who are more dynamic. He's more of a traditional tight end. So I just don't know, Nick. I don't know how the Titans are going to continue to put up points without those guys.
Yeah. So we saw earlier this year, the last game that both Julio Jones and A.J. Brown missed was in week 4, and that was the time that they lost to the Jets, and they still had Derrick Henry in that game. So being short on all of these options really, really is... the Titans have shown that it's bad. The Titans have shown that they struggle to move the ball. So this model score that we have here actually does have A.J. Brown playing. So it is overestimating the Titans' chances here, and I think that A.J. Brown being out really compounds the problems, like we've talked about. So it does have Tennessee covering and the under. I think I still like the under as far as the model lean is concerned, but I want to abstain from saying that the model actually likes Tennessee because I wasn't able to rerun it without A.J. Brown, and that's a really, really important thing here.
And Nick, this is a tricky one because the look-ahead line was -2.5 before last week, and Titans just, they look pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, they lost to Houston. That's awful.
Yeah, and I understand someone in our Discord said, well, A.J. Brown being out isn't worth 5 points. And I said, yeah, not necessarily, but the look-ahead line was after, or the look-ahead line was before the game, and then that line was closer to 6.5, and then A.J. Brown was announced out. So, essentially, if we're going off what the line did and how it moved, A.J. Brown is worth close to a point to a half point based on the line move, but it's tricky, right, Nick? It's not just him, it's him being out and who else is out. And I think that's
exactly
what's going on here.
So as far as lanes are concerned, what are we going to throw up, if anything, for this one? We could maybe put just the under. We could also completely fade it.
I think we should fade it because I think New England can put up a lot of points in this one. But then that makes me just want to put New England.
Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and throw up a fade for this one.
Who does New England have next week?
Who does New England have next week? That's an excellent question. So next week, New England plays at Buffalo. That's a big game.
I will say, though, a Bill Belichick team, if there's any team that isn't going to subscribe to like the look-ahead spot, this would probably be the team.
Yeah, and they're professionals. They're not. It's not like a college game where Ohio State might be looking past Michigan State to Michigan.
Yeah, it's the NFL.
Right?
I mean, every game.
Or I mean, and that was a terrible example because those games went the complete opposite way. The look ahead letdown narrative would have let you think. But you know what I mean, right? These guys are professionals.
Yeah.
They're out there ready to play every week. I don't think that there's they're not looking ahead. They're playing every game. Also, thank you, Sam Chester and Jay Swan. Thank you guys for the follows. I see some comments about some games that are later on. So for anybody who's new to the stream, how this works is we're just going to start from the top here with this Tennessee-New England game, and we're going to work our way down the list and just go game by game, talking through them a little bit, giving out our leans if we have them. And I'm going to go back to the comments about those games once we get to them. So next game, Ben, we've got a game that probably would have fit in on Thanksgiving. We've got the New York Jets and the Houston Texans. Texans, 3-point favorites at home. Words you never thought you would hear this year. Texans are 3-point favorites. But that's where they're at, and that's where the Jets are at. Over-under in this game set at 44.5. So, Ben, what are your thoughts here? Do you have thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are Zach Wilson's back. And that makes me very uncertain about what I think is going to happen here because it's on the road. Also, Corey Davis is out too, which I think is important. And I think Michael Carter's out too.
Is he?
So, yeah.
Let's see. So we should have official injury news now.
He was doubtful, and just trying to read between the lines, it sounded like he was not going to play.
I don't see him listed as out on the injury report.
Wow.
I see Davis is out, but not seeing anything about Michael Carter.
Wow, that's interesting.
Oh, or maybe Carter's like on IR or something and wouldn't even be listed on the injury report.
No, Carter is playing, or yes, Carter is playing. Oh, is he saying no?
Okay, Carter is out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got to be out because the books didn't his number up, and I mean they had Ty Johnson and Kevin Coleman.
Yeah. So Michael Carter's on IR, which means that he wouldn't show up on the injury report. All right, that makes perfect sense. So yeah,
So with all that,
a lot of question marks on offense for the Jets. Not like they were a well-oiled machine before the question marks, but still. So the model has
go ahead, Nick.
Has Houston winning this game 24.3 to 20.56. So that it is a Houston cover, and very slightly by about 0.3 of a point and over. So Houston had a nice win last week. I mean, it is against a banged up Tennessee Titans team, but they did secure the dub. They did what they needed to do to bring home a win. And this Jets team is like we've said, pretty bad. A lot of question marks. I mean, Zach Wilson is a wild card. I don't know that it's a wild card that you're necessarily happy with having from the Jets' perspective. Not like the backup options are much better, but still, I kind of like Houston here. As painful as that is to say.
It has to be my lean. The one thing the Jets have going for them is I do believe they have the better head coach. But
yeah, I completely agree.
But I just don't think that's enough to get them to win this game. I mean, it's just it's a weird spot. And if Zach Wilson goes off, hey, maybe they can win this game. But that's really the only way they have it. I mean, and how many games has Zach Wilson really done that? Does he have one, maybe two good games?
Yeah, I mean, he's had some games where he hasn't lost them the game. I mean, the game against Tennessee was I mean, they were able to pull out a win against a decent team there. But still, I like Houston, and yeah, I think Jay Swan makes the excellent point here that we haven't really mentioned is Tyrod Taylor. This Texans team in the first game and a half of the season looked pretty solid. I mean, granted, it was against Jacksonville, but then they also were hanging right with Cleveland for the first half of that game in week 2 before Tyrod Taylor got hurt. And Cleveland is looking like a potential playoff team this year. So that's nothing to be down on them about. So yeah, I like Houston here. I think that Tyrod Taylor really does. I think he's the wild card, but in a positive way.
And Rex Burkhead, out of nowhere. I had to look at the stat line last week. I'm like, oh man, Rex Burkhead is on the Texans and getting a lot of carries, and Phillip Lindsay's out, so he's going to be splitting time with David Johnson, which it's just funny because I thought Rex Burkhead was out of the league.
Yeah, Rex Burkhead been around for a while and never really had a full-time role. Although I guess that is how you stick around for a while, is you have a niche role that you're good at. All right, so let's move on to game
like a punter, Nick.
Like a punter, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Rex Burkhead is basically a punter. I think that's the conclusion that we can draw here.
When I have kids, I'm either going to make them a professional golfer or a professional punter.
Are you okay?
They're two life choices.
It's solidified. I mean, it's on video now.
Yeah.
You can't go back on that.
Yep.
All right. So game number 3. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. Giants have fired Jason Garrett, as I think that we've all heard. So I think that's the important thing here. So what kind of impact, if any, do you think that's going to make on the Giants' offense?
So first of all, Nick, I just want to go on record to say I don't think he should have been fired, because I watched that game. I watched some of the replay of the game, and Daniel Jones missed a lot of open guys. He did, but it's accountability, and it's Jason Garrett left him in the game, and he's been going with Daniel Jones. So I think at a certain point, it's kind of like the scapegoat mentality where something has to change. So, anyways, it is what it is. I was just about to look up who the interim offensive coordinator is going to be. Do you know?
No, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, we could speculate and say, like, hey, this is what this person's going to do and try to call and their philosophies. But I think one thing that we can both agree upon, and everyone listening, is anytime someone gets fired like this.
It's Freddie Kitchens.
Oh, Freddie Kitchens.
Browns legend.
He likes to run the ball. That's my first thought. But I was going to say, Nick, I think when a guy gets fired like this, a play caller, and a new guy comes in, they like to lean on their star players. I think it's just the easiest thing to do, right? Like, let's try to get the ball in our best players' hands and, like, really emphasize that, almost maybe too much. So I think Saquon Barkley probably benefits the most from this, if I were to guess.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable take on that. Of course, it's hard to know for sure, unless you have an inside source in the locker room. But I generally speaking, I do think that's the way to look at it from the outside.
Freddie Kitchens, that's funny. So Freddie Kitchens. This is where the Giants are at right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Ed, I was just chatting with Nick off air. I said, hey, the Eagles, this is a big game for them. They win this, they're kind of looking at the Cowboys. They're trailing them right now in the East. So who knows? I mean, the NFC East, man, it's always a crazy division every year, one way or another.
Yeah, it definitely is. So ASIM said, I don't know what to think about Eagles-Giants. Obviously, Eagles look better, but I don't know if it's a letdown spot for them. So, of course, they have a lot to play for, especially with the Cowboys already having lost this week. But it does, I think, also have some letdown potential. I think that the Giants are going to be playing fired up. I mean, their offensive coordinator got fired. Whether they're happy about that or sad about that, I think that either way, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. So I think it definitely is a potential letdown spot for the Eagles. Also, velocity.
Nick,
click the link. You should be good to go.
And Nick, if you look at the last 4 games, Eagles boat raced the Lions, but what does that mean these days? They lost to the Chargers close, and I actually think out of their last 4 games, that was their best performance. And then the Broncos just played like crap, but it's a quality road win. And then the Saints with Trevor Siemian. So I don't want to take anything away from those last 4 games, but kind of going off the letdown narrative, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, the Eagles definitely do, though, look like they're hitting their stride. So the model, I mean, so for anybody who's followed along with the model for a while knows that it likes the Giants probably a little bit too much. It actually has the Giants winning this game outright, 22.8 to 21.3, or thereabouts. I don't want to say that I actually like the Giants here, despite what the model says. Also, that total has us going under by a couple points. So, Ben, do you have any leans for this game as far as the spread or the total are concerned?
I don't. I think we should stay away from this one.
Yeah.
From that point of view, because it just has a weird feeling to it. It really does.
It does. It feels trappy on both sides almost. I feel like it's either going to be like a big letdown game for the Eagles where the Giants come out and play really well, or the Eagles are just going to boat race them and beat them by 25.
Nick, what about this? We haven't talked a lot about alternative spreads for the favorites. So like bumping the Eagles from -4 to like -10. What's it called? It's the reverse middle. What do we call that?
Oh, I mean, so the Polish middle is betting on either of the extreme outcomes to happen, and like if one of them hits, then you're good.
Here's my Polish middle of the week, of the day. Giants money line. What is it at? +170.
It's got to be something around there.
Yeah, Giants +170, and then you also
maybe even more like 200.
You also throw up the Eagles like -9.5.
Yeah, so you
But
get two.
depends what you get.
Two bets in that plus 150 range, and if either of them hit, you're up.
Yeah, it just seems like one of those extremes, right? Like Giants could just be so flat, and Eagles, like you said, they win by 2 scores, or maybe the Giants come out fired up and they win outright. So, but we're fading this. We're fading this one.
Oh, also, so there is one, probably the most important thing about this game that we haven't talked about.
How could we?
How could we forget? Trent, his favorite play of the day is Eagles minus 3.5. So therefore the Giants are a lock. It's that simple.
I can't wait till one of the broadcasters brings that up. The way it's been going, man. Oh, and by the way, Trent is on the Eagles.
Can you imagine Tony Romo or something on the broadcast starts talking about Trent, or like Scott and Pelt, bad beats, brings up Trent.
Honey, who's Trent? He's the fade god. Come on. Come on. Get it together.
Also, if anybody hears weird noises, that's my dog. You can kind of see her reflection in the television. She's rolling around on her back on my couch, making weird noises. Right, Blue?
I think Blue's figured out that
There she is.
what you do on stream, and then she kind of is like, hey, guys, I'm here.
Yep, she's there. Her presence has to be known. And yeah, Mixed Sneak. The Sunday streams start at 9:30 Mountain Time, so 11:30 Eastern.
Also, if anyone in the chat could help us out, pull up what the alternate spread would be for minus 9.5 for the Eagles. I'm just curious, but let's move to this next game, Nick.
Yeah, so this next game, I think is going to be a super good game. I think that this is going to be probably the game that I'm going to have on watching in this early slate. We've got Tampa Bay and we've got Indianapolis. So Indy, Jonathan Taylor coming off one of the best games a running back has ever had. Just full stop. 3-point underdogs at home against Tampa. Total in this game. I have a typo. I think it said at 53, not 55. But let me double check that. I think that's just a typo on my end. Yeah, it's 53. So let me fix that real quick and get the model score up. But Ben, what are you thinking about this game?
Well, this should be, to no surprise, who I like in this one. And thanks, Serge, for the follow. I like the Colts. I like the Colts, Nick. And I've liked the Colts almost every week.
Yeah, I don't think that there's ever been a week where Ben's like, yeah, I like the team playing the Colts.
The day I fade the Colts and like the other side, that's the day you load up.
Mm-hmm.
But, Nick, why do I like the Colts? Well, let me tell you. Obviously, that run game, I mean, it made the Bills look like a preschool football team. And if you've never watched preschool football, you're lying, because you watched the Bills on defense in that game. He just ran right down their throats. The offensive line was almost more impressive than Jonathan Taylor was from how they actually played. From a stat perspective, of course not. And thank you, Mick Sneak, for the follow. They were pushing the front four back a yard on every play. It was impressive. Now the Bucks, Nick, I would say they're a little better up front. They have a few guys who aren't going to be pushed back a yard every play, and they have one of the best run defenses in football. I think one game they've allowed a 100-yard rusher, and that was the Bears, but it was Khalil Herbert, and I think he had a 32-yard run in that game to help him hit 100 yards. But if we go through the list, I mean, 60, 65 yards on average running backs were getting. And Taylor, I don't necessarily know if he's going to be stuffed like that, but the Colts are definitely going to still try to get him the ball, because they know if they don't establish a run game, they're not going to win this game, Nick.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough for every team playing against this Tampa Bay defense, just because the run D is so good. So I think that the one key piece here is that Vita Vea is still out, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that, by the way. Oh, no, he's playing. Just kidding. Vita Vea is playing. So last week, the Giants, they had some success technically on the ground. I mean, they only ran the ball 9 times because they were down by so much so early. But, I mean, they did average more than 4 yards per carry, which is something that nobody's done since that Bears game back in week 7. But with Vita Vea back, potential letdown spot for Jonathan Taylor. I think people, expect like in DFS, people are going to be all over Jonathan Taylor this week.
Terrible matchup for him, obviously.
Yeah, but against Tampa, you kind of have to throw the ball to have success against them.
I'm really curious, Nick, if they just come out, first, second drive, first quarter, and really try to establish the run and just kind of stick to, like, hey, this is what we do. Or is it it's a little bit of let's take some shots, like we know what we're getting into with this defense. It's going to be very curious to see what they do there. A prop I like, Nick, that I want to give out is the Carson Wentz over 250 passing yards. I just think from the matchup perspective, this makes a lot of sense. And I don't think the Colts are just going to abandon the run by any means, but I think Wentz is going to have more opportunities to throw the ball. And I think he hits that number. I think he has like 270 today. So,
yeah, I like that prop as well.
A sneaky one because his last 2 games, I think he's been well under that.
Yeah, and also Tampa, they've had a lot of success recently against the passing game. 4 of the last 5 quarterbacks that they've faced have gone under 200 yards. I mean, that being said, it's Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Trevor Siemian plus Jameis Winston in the game that Winston got hurt, Taylor Heineke, and Daniel Jones. I mean, not really good quarterbacks.
Yeah,
but
and Darius Leonard, it's big. I mean, he's their quarterback of the defense right there, and he's been playing really well too. So this is going to be a good game. I think this could be probably one of the best games of the day, just on paper.
Yeah, I agree. So lean-wise, I'm going to go ahead and throw up Indianapolis as a lean, and also the under.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think the under we have to do kind of just on principle. The model has this game at like between 45 and 46 points, and the total is set at 53. So from that perspective, I think we kind of just have to like the under.
Yeah.
So
Nick, I want to ask you a question real quick in the chat. Titans sitting at 8-3 right now. Colts are at 6-5. We have roughly 6 games left, 7 games left, 6, I guess. Who do you like to win the South?
Yeah, so we can probably actually look for some actual odds on this. So AFC South on PointsBet right now. Titans minus 1,250 to win the division. Colts plus 700. Jaguars plus 50,000. Texans plus 100,000.
I just don't understand why it's minus 2 or 1,000. You said 1,000?
1,250. And the reason for that is that these teams have already played both of their games against each other, and the Titans won both.
Gotcha.
So if they end up tied, the Titans have the tiebreaker.
Okay, I guess that makes more sense. So essentially,
yeah. So basically, they're 3 games back.
Yeah.
You're gonna go fire it up?
Well, I gotta see who the Colts play. I mean, they probably get the Jags and the Texans a few times.
Also, in Indianapolis. That's such a great commercial.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I know we had some people talking about this game earlier. I'm gonna go back and address those.
Nick, one thing that I wanted to mention in this game is someone said, I think the Bucs have been playing good with Gronk, which I agree. But Antonio Brown to this offense means twice as much as Gronk does to this offense. And Antonio Brown is still out. And I know that they didn't have him last week and the Bucs still look pretty good on offense. But if you go through the last few games offensively for the Bucs, they have been a little iffy, and I think Antonio Brown really stretches the field. Personally, I think that's huge. I really do think that's huge. And even if Antonio Brown was in this, Nick, I would probably not feel anywhere as confident.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that the model would probably have a different lean as well. I think that if Antonio Brown was in, I mean, so we're pretty tight around this 3 already. Mm-hmm. I think that the model would probably like Tampa to cover.
Yep. Trent's on the Bucs, of course.
Okay, it's a lock.
Yep.
Enough said.
We're gonna have it's gonna be Model and then Trent.
Yeah. So C-West earlier said, I don't see Bucs winning unless their defense wakes up. Jonathan Taylor is a manimal. Yeah, I think that's kind of the key here. Is if the Colts can establish any kind of consistent success on the ground, it's going to be no contest Colts win.
And for them, I think that could just be like 3.5 yards per carry. If they can do that, I think they win. I think that's enough because it's just the games where we've seen teams just. I mean, they have 12 rushes for 13, 15 yards. If they can surpass that, they're going to be in a good spot here.
Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Also, Will, thank you for the follow. I don't know if either of us said that earlier, but thank you for the follow. All right, so next up, we've got Atlanta and Jacksonville. In another game that probably would have fit in on Thanksgiving. So Jacksonville at home, 2-point underdogs. Total in this one set at 46. Got to go do a quick injury report check for this game. I think that Cordarrelle Patterson was supposed to be a game time decision.
He's active.
He's active? Okay. So that's big for Atlanta. And I'm pretty sure that the sim that I ran for this does have Cordarrelle Patterson back and playing. So it's reflected in the lineup. So that's good. That being said, I mean, so we've seen the Falcons offense do a whole lot of nothing the last 2 weeks. They got shut out last time out against New England. And I think they put up 3 points the week before. They are struggling. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville is also struggling quite a bit. Let me go find them. But I don't think that either of these teams have put up 20 or more points in weeks.
I think you're right there, Nick. It's been rough for both offenses.
Yeah, it's been bad. Yeah, so Atlanta, 0 points and 3 points in their last 2 games. Jacksonville, 10, 17, 9, and 7 in their last 4 games. So are these defenses particularly good? No. But where's the offense going to come from?
It's a good question.
And then, of course, talking about it this way, this is going to be a game that ends like 35-30 or something stupid like that.
I was going to say, I think the offense is going to come from the defense if they can put up some points and get a pick six or something, because I just don't see either offense really having a significant game. Like it's going to be very much of the same. And I will say the Jags defense is probably the better of the 2 defenses here, but for the Falcons, I just don't know what their mentality is headed into this game, right? Like they have to be down on themselves, and I know it's the NFL, and we can talk about players should be ready to go. They're professionals, but I still think this Jacksonville team has just more upside and more hype to them because they're a young team. But I guess you could say the whole Urban Meyer thing. So maybe that all just cancels out, whatever. But I like the Jags here. I know Cordarrelle Patterson's back and he's been big to that offense, but it just seems like a home spot for the younger team. And I like the under too. I don't know how either team scores over 21 points in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, the under has to be the play here.
14-6, Big Jer says.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that's very much within the realm of possibility. 14-6. I mean, and what are those 14 and 6? I mean, the 14 is 2 defensive touchdowns, and the 6 is 3 safeties. No, not really. But yeah, I think that both of these teams are really going to struggle. And even if one of them has success, I think it still goes under. I mean, we could still see this game be like a 30-10 game or something. And we still breeze under. I'm with you. I think that Jacksonville has a little bit more upside. But I think that the consistency is just not there for them right now. So model does have Jacksonville covering. But I kind of want to abstain from putting up either of the sides as a lean. So next up, we've got Carolina and Miami. And again, this seems to be a theme this week. It is home underdogs by just a couple points. So Miami, 1.5-point underdogs at home. Total in this one set at 41. We've got Cam Newton for Carolina. Played reasonably well last week, but the Panthers could not pull off the win against Washington. So Ben, what are your thoughts on this one?
This is a tough one. I almost feel like this line isn't sharp. And what I mean by that is it's difficult with a brand new quarterback coming in, Cam Newton.
He's like an old brand new quarterback.
Yeah.
Like I got a new used car.
Yeah, literally back to his old team. But they're on the road, and then you have a Miami team that came into the season with all these expectations for their defense, and their defense hasn't really met those. And then they've had quarterback carousel stuff going on, injuries to Tua. That's what I mean by maybe this line isn't as sharp, because the next game I feel like is literally right on point where the number should be. But with me saying that, I almost feel like there's a lot of variance with this game. Another one
totally.
where, just Miami, maybe they shut down the Panthers now that they have some game film on Cam. I mean, they always have had that, but now you get it this year because the Panthers are running a lot of zone reads with CMC, Cam Newton, a lot of design runs. Now you can prepare for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miami just shuts Carolina down, but at the same time, if you get CMC going, Carolina could score 3-4 touchdowns easy in this one. So it's a tough game for me to try to handicap, and I think the model is doing its best, of course, based on what it knows, but it's still one of those spots where I just feel like we should kind of stay away from it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that this should be a fade. And the model, I think, thinks that also. So the model has Carolina winning this game by a little under a point, so within a point of the Vegas spread. And the model's total is what? Quick math, 42.2 or something, 42.3. So over by like a point, but still. So, yeah, I think I completely agree with what you said, that this is a really high variance game. I think there's going to be a couple plays that decide which team wins, and at this number, you're basically picking which team is going to win. And it feels really coin flippy. So I think we should fade it.
But one prop I do like that I personally bet that I want to bring up is Cam Newton's over rushing yards. And I know I just made the point Dolphins could maybe shut down the run game, but I think that this is such a pure volume play where Cam is going to have 12, 13 rushes in this game. And I was looking to try to find his rushing attempts from last week.
He had 10.
10, yeah. And the number's at 36.5. And I like that over, Nick. I do.
Yeah, I was a little iffy on it. I just like to see some more sample size, but I mean that's just me.
Yeah, and Matt Rule as the head coach, they're going to continue to run those types of plays, and I don't see them going away from that unless it really gets shut down. But I still think Cam's going to try to run as much as he can, so I do like that over there.
All right. You ready to move on to the next one?
Yep.
So we've got Pittsburgh and we've got Cincinnati. Cincinnati at home favored by 3.5 points. Over under set at 44. So Pittsburgh last week played a crazy game against the Chargers. They looked dead in the water, and then they came back, and suddenly it's like, oh, they're going to win. Pittsburgh is so good. And then their defense completely imploded, and they looked terrible again for like a couple plays. But those plays is all that mattered. And they ended up losing that game, but still covering, I believe. Cincinnati has been a little disappointing the last couple of weeks, I would say. They've been kind of inconsistent all year, which is to be expected with a team with so many young key pieces. I mean, Joe Burrow in his second year, Jamar Chase has really struggled as of late in his rookie year. Cincinnati started out the season 5-2, then 2 terrible losses against New York and against Cleveland, and then last week came back out and beat the Raiders by like almost 20 points. So real Jekyll and Hyde team, I would say. The Bengals are. On their best day, I think they can hang with pretty much anybody, and on their worst day, they lose to the Jets. which they literally did.
Mike White.
Yeah, they got Mike Whited.
Yep.
But still, you were saying the last game was high variance. I think this game is insanely high variance. I think both of these teams have had some really excellent performances and some really, really terrible performances.
I guess I see that. I guess I was just going more from the standpoint that it's a divisional game, and these two teams have played close games in the past, but at the same time, it's like, what does that really mean when it's new quarterbacks out there and, it's Bengals with the new head coach 2 years ago with Taylor. So I like the Steelers though, Nick.
I kind of like the Steelers here also.
Weird for me to say, but when I was looking into this, looking at the model, the run game for the Steelers have the better head coach. I got to go with the Steelers here.
Yeah, I think I agree. And also important, just wanted to double checking to make sure that this is true. But Minkah Fitzpatrick is back. Mm-hmm. I think that the absence of Minkah Fitzpatrick is probably why that big play against the Chargers happened last week. Just miscommunication with the safety help in the secondary, and getting your defensive leader back really, really helps out with that. So I like Pittsburgh here as well. Model has them covering. It has them losing by a little more than 2 points, as opposed to the 3.5 that the spread indicates. Model also has the over here. It's got a total of like between 46.5 and 47, compared to the Vegas total of 44. I don't necessarily want to put the over down as a lean. I think I'm comfortable with just Pittsburgh here.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious what weather it took in, because I am showing some significant wind and gusts that kind of picked up from what I saw yesterday. So
yeah, so it's also possible that that's impacting the Vegas total relative to the model's total if there's weather changes over the course of the week, because the sims are from Wednesday.
But I will say, guys, this is a game where both teams can run the ball, so the wind is kind of taken out of that equation.
Yeah, right? It's teams that play in this weather every year.
Yeah. The only way the wind will affect the run game is if we have gusts probably, what would you say, 100, Nick?
Yeah.
Start just like blowing over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Joe Burrow grabs the ball, reaches out, and it's just
I think
straight out of his
Harris, it would probably have to be, and Mixon, it would probably have to be 150 mile per hour gusts, but some of the smaller backs, they might Yeah, they might get.
Yeah,
tackled
well,
by
so
the
actually,
wind.
so something that we need to consider is if there's a back that's so light, and this is definitely not good for Najee Harris, but maybe the wind actually picks them up off the ground and carries them over the defense and deposits them into the end zone.
Then we're gonna have to figure out which way the wind's going. It gets complicated.
Yeah, I mean, some insider information on like the coin flip or something would be
Yeah.
crucial.
Just jumps over the pile from like the 10-yard line.
Yeah. Are you allowed to wear like a wingsuit, or is that a $5,000 fine?
These are questions that we need to figure out.
Yeah, I think this is the key. All right, so next up, we've got the LA Chargers and we've got the Denver Broncos. Broncos, continuing with the theme of home underdogs this week, 3-point dogs at Mile High. Over under set at 47. Ben, are you going to this game by chance?
I am not. I'm not going to this one, but I'll be watching it at home, of course.
So I'm gonna just you take this one away. You're the big Broncos fan. What are you seeing here?
So last week, Eagles and Broncos, right? I didn't like the Broncos in that spot. I didn't. It seemed like a spot where I thought they could get things going offensively, but it just seemed like a spot where they were susceptible to a letdown. I don't really feel that same way for this one. It almost seems like the Chargers are now kind of susceptible to having a letdown. And it's at +3. I'm showing +2.5, Nick, at some spots too, which I think is significant on a Sunday to see some books drop it off at 3 to 2.5. If you can get the Broncos at +3, I think it's a good play. I do, and I know I'm a Broncos fan, but at +3, I do like the value, and I think it's a good matchup for the Broncos. Chargers, I think, are bottom, or maybe second to last in yards per rush attempt that they're giving up on defense. And Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, this could be a really big game for those two. And Melvin Gordon, this is our revenge spot here. His old team, the Chargers, could be a big game for him. I think either way, one of those two backs is going to have 75, 80 yards. It's just so hard to say because they literally split 50-50 carries. But man, Justin Herbert, that's our guy, Nick. That's our guy.
It's especially your guy. Not that I don't like him, but you've been conducting the Justin Herbert train. So
How do you feel?
So how do I feel? So the model agrees with you here. It likes the Broncos to cover. It has the Chargers winning, but only by about 1.5 as opposed to the 3 points that Vegas has. So I think grabbing a home dog with the ultimate Melvin Gordon revenge narrative. We always love a good revenge spot. I think that the Broncos are a good look here. And also, just to confirm, the Chargers are 5th in yards per carry allowed to running backs. So maybe that changes with if you include quarterbacks as well. But they're allowing 4.67 yards per carry to running backs. And for a Broncos team that's got not one but two really capable rushing options, I think it's a recipe for success for them. So what about this total? So sitting at 47, model has a hair over 49.
Man, I know we talked about this one. It's weird to see a total for the Broncos at home over 45. You typically don't see that. But it makes a lot of sense because I do believe the Broncos will have success running the ball. and I think they can move the ball. They have a really good field goal kicker too. They're going to have a lot of opportunities in the red zone. Comes down to converting those. I lean over.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that this could be a good over spot, and yeah, but another potential backdoor over.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that also with the running game, it's like a parabola for how good it is for the over. Right? If the running game is really, really, really good, like they're breaking huge plays all the time, that's great for the over. If the running game is like so
enough.
terrible that they throw the ball all the time, that can also be really good for the over. Mm-hmm. But there's like that middle ground where you have success converting on third downs, grinding clock, and then that's terrible for the over. Mm-hmm. So you want to be on one of those extremes. And I think that we could be in the situation where the running game here is so effective that despite it being the more conventionally thinking, low-scoring, chewing clock type of gameplay, it could just be so effective that it's good for the over. So I like the over here as well. Yeah. So Ben, do you like the Broncos still at plus 2.5? So it is just depending on the book. So shop around if you have that option, because I'm showing threes still available, like plus 3 minus 110. That's available on various books right now.
I think for lean wise, plus 3. But that's what we have.
If I mean, like I'm on PointsBet right now, and PointsBet has plus 3 still. But if you only have the 2.5 available to you, what are your thoughts?
The way I look at it, it's if you had the last 6.5 days up to this point to get a 3, and I know you could still say it can still be a good bet even though the line's moved, but it's off a key number. I would say no.
Yeah, you can maybe look to grab it live.
Yeah,
that's always an option.
Mm-hmm. Literally, you could get 1 first down for 15 yards.
And the 3 comes back.
So.
Dog just pushed my remote off my couch.
Blue.
All right. So next up, we've got Minnesota and we've got San Francisco. Lot of chatter about this one. So San Francisco, 3.5 point favorites at home. Total set at 49. So both of these teams have looked quite good recently. San Francisco, in their last 2 games, has had 2 really convincing wins over 2 really good teams. Or 1 really good team and 1 team. 30-10 over Jacksonville last week. 31-10 over the Rams a couple weeks ago. The Vikings have also looked pretty good. 3-point win against the Packers last week. 7-point win on the road against the Chargers the week before. So the model here has a bit of an upset call. Model has the Vikings taking this game outright. Has Vikings minus about 1.5. So Ben, do you think that that's a reasonable take? Do you think that the Niners are the better team here and are going to cover? There's a lot of like the people who are into sharp versus public stuff feel like the Vikings are a big trap here. Mm-hmm. I don't really care about that kind of stuff at all, unless you'd like know where actual sharp action is. Then that can be informative. But just bet percentage, money percentage stuff, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, it's hard to determine that, but I will say that I am high on both these teams. 49ers with Kittle, they're a different team, but also Minnesota. I mean, they're playing good football. They really are. Yeah,
Minnesota's 5-5, but they haven't played a bad game all year. I mean, what are their losses? Overtime at Baltimore, 4-point loss to Dallas, 7-point loss to Cleveland, 1-point loss at Arizona, overtime loss to Cincinnati. That's their losses. None of those are bad losses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look at their last 4 games. Lost a close one to the Cowboys. Lost a close one to the Ravens. Won a 7-point game to the Chargers, and then a close win last week against the Packers. So, with all that, this is probably going to be a close game.
Yeah, I think that this is a close game, 100%. And in a close game, getting a plus 3.5 on either side, that feels great. In a coin flippy situation.
I know this wouldn't fit any sort of Wong teaser, but teasing a 3.5 in this spot to 9.5 isn't the worst idea, maybe, just because of what we know about the Vikings and how they played close games. I'm semi-endorsing that, but just something to think about.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Vikings would have covered that in 10 out of 10 this year.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think this is also why the model has the Vikings winning, because the model doesn't actually care about the scores of the games. It just cares about the individual plays that happen in the game. And there's absolutely nothing that the Vikings have done this year that is bad. There's just like Asim was saying, a missed field goal here, missed field goal there, Cook fumble, overtime coin flip stuff. I mean, I guess they haven't actually lost on like a first possession touchdown in overtime, but still, overtimes are coin flippy by nature. I mean, the Vikings are a couple bounces away from being 8-2 or something. I mean, and then if the Vikings record is 8-2, which they haven't played all that differently from an 8-2 team, what is this spread? It's not Minnesota plus 3.5, that's for sure.
And another fun fact, Nick, the San Francisco 49ers, I believe, are one of the worst ATS teams at home over the last 2 or 3 years, which is kind of surprising to me. But
I mean, well, it's not so surprising when you know where their stadium is. It's like a 2-hour drive from San Francisco or something.
Yeah,
it's insane. I might be exaggerating that a little bit, but it is nowhere near downtown San Francisco. It's like in another city.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead.
I like the Vikings. And any thoughts on this total, Nick?
No, I don't really want to touch the total. The model likes the under. It's got this coming in at a little over 47 compared to the Vegas total of 49. I just think that both of these teams are really, really capable of scoring the ball. Defenses have played quite well at times, been pretty inconsistent at other times. I don't really have a read on the total. My gut probably actually tells me over, but I don't want to pick against the model.
I'm indifferent. So yeah, let's stay away from that and just put Minnesota.
All right. So next up, also the Marsh is teasing Vikings and Steelers. So we've established that we kind of, despite not generally liking teasers, the Vikings feel like a good teaser leg. What are your thoughts on the Steelers as a teaser leg?
Ooh.
It would be at the exact same number that you get the Vikings at.
Yeah, I actually I like it not as much as this Vikings teaser.
All right. So next up, we've got the Los Angeles Rams and the Green Bay Packers. So it was kind of interesting. I was just doing some reading. And Matt Stafford apparently has some kind of chronic back issue right now. I mean, if it's chronic, it's not right now. It is right now, but it's also prior to right now and in the future as well. But back issue for Matt Stafford. I don't know exactly how recently that's developed. I think it might have just been... Well, no. Again, if it's chronic, it's not a recent development. But I think it's been bothering him more recently. I think it kept him out of practice a lot last week, and it's done the same this week. And that can also affect the game plan.
Yeah, he's looking bad, man.
Yeah, we've seen some underwhelming performances from Matt Stafford recently, and I think that this is kind of why. Or potentially why. A contributing factor. So despite all of that, the Rams are actually favored on the road Green Bay. Let me make sure I got that right. Is that right? That is right. Yeah, Rams 2.5-point favorites on the road at Green Bay. It felt wrong. Did that not kind of just feel wrong? Saying that?
It did feel a little wrong. Nick, check this out. From Diana Rossini from ESPN. Rams quarterback Matt Stafford has been dealing with pain in his throwing arm, his elbow, a sore ankle, and, like you mentioned, the chronic back pain.
It might be quicker to list places where he's not hurt.
Yeah. So, if you've ever played football or played any sport, you know that these types of injuries in cold weather are even worse. And guess where they're playing today, Nick?
Playing in cold Green Bay.
The frozen tundra. So, I mean, I think it's fair. We have to talk about that and discuss it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that regardless of the temperature, I mean, sure that can compound it, but it's a lot of injuries, and he's looked bad. And there's got to be correlation there. This Green Bay team, I mean, they lost last week to Minnesota, but they're a good team. Like it was a close game with no Aaron Jones last week against Minnesota. So I think Aaron Jones is back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I gotta go Green Bay here.
I have to also.
I don't want to overthink it.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like the game where the Rams turn it around.
No, I'm completely with you.
It's a tough one. So
total wise, the model has this going over by like 1/10 of a point. I've got no lean on the total. I think a lot of how this total goes really depends on Matt Stafford's health. Like if he's just kind of incapable of throwing the ball, that's great for the under. Mm-hmm. I think even if Stafford is more healthy than he has been, I think I still like Green Bay, and that could be better for the over. So I want to stay away from the total. You agree? Disagree?
Yeah, we'll stay away. I actually do lean under just a tad, but
it could also be like a potential Rams team total under type of deal.
But I do still like the Rams defense.
Yeah, Rams defense is good.
It's going to be an interesting one.
It is. So next game that we're going to talk about, this is the evening game tonight. So usually we only talk about the Sunday games on Sundays, but we're actually not going to be able to stream tomorrow. I'm not going to be at home, so I'm not going to have my computer, which is the thing that's capable of putting out the stream. So we're going to talk about the Monday night game real quick as well at the end of this, the Seattle-Washington game. But the last game that is today is Cleveland and Baltimore. So Baltimore is at home, favored by 3 points. Over-under is set at 47. So the Ravens, last week, beat Chicago in what was a disgusting game for most of the game, and then kind of turned good late. But that was with Tyler Huntley at quarterback. Tyler Huntley is not playing quarterback today for Baltimore. Some guy named Lamar is back. Marquis Brown is also back for Baltimore. He missed last game as well. But man, this is a tough one. So I am a Ravens fan. For anybody who does not know, always have to disclose potential biases when talking about these games. I don't know what to make of this. So the model has Cleveland winning the game by a little bit more than 3 points, and they're 3-point underdogs. So from that perspective, I mean, gotta think that Cleveland is the play from the model perspective. I just don't know. There's part of me that thinks that Lamar Jackson in his comeback game from his illness, whatever his illness was, is going to want to put on a show. Mm-hmm. So I'm scared to touch this game. I kind of think that Baltimore -3 is really where it should be. Baltimore has a habit of playing up and down to the level of their competition. They found themselves in a lot of close games. I think if this was still at 3.5, which I think that it was at earlier, maybe having that key number of 3 also on Cleveland's side would make me feel a little bit more comfortable taking Cleveland. But I think that for me, this has got to be a fade spot. But Ben, as somebody who's not biased about this game.
Well, I have a question. Rashard Bateman, he's playing, right?
Yes. Bateman's
Okay.
playing. He better be playing.
I just don't see any props for any of the wide receivers, but maybe that's because of Malcolm Brown or Marquis Brown. Is that 100% confirmed he's in?
Let me look real quick. I thought it seemed... Okay, so he's still questionable, expected to play, according to Adam Schefter.
Yeah. So, yeah, no lines for... Let me see.
They probably, the books, I'm sure, would like some official confirmation on that, though.
Yeah.
Because it does have a huge impact on where those numbers would be.
I'm just curious if there's any Marquise. No, yeah, there's no props for him either. So I was just curious because I wanted to see what Bateman's line was at, but man, this is a tough one. The Ravens are just such a hard team to get a pulse on, and I know you follow them, and sometimes you struggle with that. So.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just they play up and down to the level of their competition. It feels like every game is close.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me it's a fade. If you want to put Cleveland plus the points down as a lean, I won't stop you.
Hey, it's up to you. You have the control.
Yeah, I am in control. We're gonna fade this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So last but not least, we're gonna quickly again touch on Monday night's game since there's not going to be a Monday night stream. We've got Seattle and the Washington football team. This game is currently set at a pick'em. Total 46 and a half. So Russell Wilson came back a couple of games ago for Seattle. And how has Seattle done in those games?
I don't think that good, man.
No, the answer is bad.
Yeah.
Seattle has
What
not
are you implying?
played well. I don't know what I'm implying.
It's the first losing season, I think, for Pete Carroll.
Well, it's not a guarantee. They can still go 10-7 technically.
Yeah, that's true. They could.
But the offense has really struggled the last 2 games with Russell Wilson back. Granted, it has been against 2 good defenses. They lost 17-0 to Green Bay, 23-13 against Arizona. Those are both excellent defenses. But still, you'd expect more than 13 points across 2 games from an offense with weapons like Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. It's a bit underwhelming to say the least.
Yeah, it really has been, and I don't know what's going on with that team right now. I know they don't have Chris Carson. They haven't had him, but
I mean that shouldn't be the difference.
yeah, there's more going on, and I couldn't tell you, Nick. I really couldn't.
No, I'm kind of with you. Colin, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that.
This guy, Lord says I'm already sweating this Colts Bucks game and it hasn't even started. I know the feeling, man.
Yeah. So the model has Seattle winning this game by about 3 points. But the model, I mean, it doesn't emphasize exactly how bad Russell Wilson's been and how bad this offense has been in these last 2 games. So I do think that the model is potentially at least overestimating Seattle here. That being said, I mean, at the beginning of the year, if you said Seattle and Washington was going to be a pick'em, you take Seattle all day. And personnel-wise, I don't know that there's all that much different about this Seattle team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, aside from Chris Carson, of course. But still, I'm kind of inclined to lean with Seattle just on principle. It feels really chalky.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time,
Ugh, man. I think we need to fade this one, Nick.
okay, I'm not going to argue against fading this game. We need to figure out exactly what Russell Wilson is right now.
Yeah, and see if he's a good candidate for my Broncos at quarterback next season.
They should bring back Trevor Siemian.
Ugh.
All right.
Crazy he still has a starting job right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not through anything that he did particularly well.
That's true.
Yeah, and McSneak, you make a good point. This could definitely be an under. So the model has this at around 43.5. Vegas total is at 46.5. Definitely an under potential. Mm-hmm. Although, again, I think that with just the question marks around the Seattle offense, we're gonna fade. I think Seattle's got to score points for them to cover, which is kind of what I lean. But, nah. All right, so that wraps up talking through the games. We got 2 minutes before kickoff. Let's go ahead and have our favorite bets for this week's games. So, Ben, would you like to start?
Yes, favorite bet today is going to be Steelers plus 3.5. I like it a lot.
Interesting. That's not at all what I was expecting you to say.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. My favorite bet today is going to be the under 46 points in the Atlanta Falcons Jacksonville Jaguars game. I just think that there's not a whole lot of places, except for the defense, for the offense to come from in that one. I think 46 is just 5 points too high. So there you have it. That is this week's slate. There's not going to be... So there's no stream tomorrow like we talked about. There's also not going to be a stream on Thursday for Thursday Night Football this upcoming week. Ben and I are both going to be out of town. So that's going to impact the stream schedule. Also, possibly, are you still going to be out of town on Sunday? I'll be back, so I can do the Sunday stream next week by myself.
Yeah, if we have to.
But, yeah.
You'll be on it, but maybe I'll be... I will be out of town, but I could potentially stream. Still.
Yeah, no, you should enjoy New York. Don't take time out of your extended vacation to do work shit.
All right, fine. But who knows? If I'm up and I'm
if you like really want to, I won't stop you. I won't be like nope.
I'll be up because East Coasters, that's why Mountain Time's the best time for sports. I'm telling you.
Yeah. But with us being out of town, we can elaborate on this coming up in the Discord also. But NFL sims are going to be delayed next week. College basketball sims probably also not going to be happening for a couple days. There's like a small chance I'll be able to get that stuff working on the mobile. I don't really have an operating laptop, which makes it hard. But we'll see. We'll update everybody on that.
The phone won't explode.
The phone won't explode?
Well, you said if I do it on my phone.
Oh, I said I think I could do it on the go.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say on your phone. I'm like,
no, I mean
whoa.
it would need to be. I load up all the stuff that needs to run onto a USB stick, and then we run it on your laptop or something.
Gotcha.
But yeah. Also, Chippy, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Appreciate everyone who was here today. A lot of new people, a lot of old people. I don't know how old you actually are, but people who've been around for a while. A lot of people checking out the stream for the first time. We appreciate all of you being here. Let's go watch some football. Good luck with the bets, as always. Ben, you got any final words?
Nope. That's all I got.
All right. So we'll see y'all in the Discord. And again, good luck with the bets. See you next time.